As you understand, this is a team, and we want us all to be on the same path, working together from the beginning. So we'll begin with our usual prayer, and we have our leader, elected leader in that.
Yeah, can we be praying? Precious Lord, we commit ourselves into your holy presence. And Lord, may you grant us grace that is sufficient for the undertakings of today's program. And we will definitely, Father, say thank you once we see the conclusion of the same. May your grace and love and the favor and your presence, Lord, overshadow us so that we do the necessary. Thank you, God, for preserving us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Bishop. So we'll just do a quick round of introductions. For those of you who were here yesterday, the theme was to reflect and think about a positive thing that happened last year, despite all how tough a year it was. It was to reflect on the positive. So in the same light, today we'll do an introduction and we'll look forward. We'll try and speak positivity into existence and say one positive outcome you'd like to come out of this year, 2021. If the LDO is part of it, well and good, but it can also be a personal expectation or outcome that you'd like to see. So we'll do a quick round. For those who are not here yesterday, you just mention your name, your organization, and then maybe the sub-county or the sub-county you represent, and one positive outcome you'd like to see from this year. So we'll begin here. Keep forgetting this.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Kinovi. I feel happy to be here this morning. And I come from Mombasa. I represent an institution called Mudima. Mudima stands for Makueni Diaspora Mombasa. Those are the people who come from Makueni and they live and work in Mombasa. For purposes of where I come from in Makueni, I come from Kibwezi East, Mutituandei Ward. I wish to say my inspiration this morning is to see great men and women of Makueni sitting here to decide the destiny of Makueni. And it is my hope that at the end of this exercise, we shall have something that Makueni can be proud of. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning again. This is my first time to come for the meeting that has been organized by Yetu. My name is Zebedi Mwandi. I've joined in many of the online meetings, but today is when I've come for the physical one. I come from Kilome, is my sub-county, and I'm representing a group of professionals from across all the 6 sub-counties of Makueni called Makueni County Development Forum. That has been in existence from 2010. And the basis of it coming into being was realizing that there will be more resources coming to the county and professionals have a role to play from the village where they came from. In other words, we mobilize a lot of our resources, professionals from Makueni to give back and be involved in activities right at their village. And my hope this year is certainly to see everybody alive, stay away from COVID, and I hope we will continue being alive and if we are alive, then the LDO has to come to life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, all. I'm Anton Dolo, working for Mobilization Agency for Paralegal Commission Africa. MAPACA is a civil society organization operating in Lower Eastern, and specifically we are based in Makueni. So I belong to Makueni in general, but my home area is Kibwezi West, Makindu area. Generally, what I can say today, according to the invitation, we want to see an LDO which is involving, progressive, obvious, because if we involve people, it will progress. Then we work as a team. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Eunice Ngina. I come from Kiteta Ward, Boni Sub-County. In Makueni, I represent women in development issues. Yeah, so for me, the joy of my heart will be to see us form a path for our people to be empowered. Every life that is changed, it's a great milestone and a great achievement.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bishop Dr. Jafedi Mwenyao. I'm representing a faith-based organization on the entire account of all interfaith. And I come from Kibwezi West. My expectation is to see the birth and the winning, the growth, and the progression of the LDO that we have all along been talking about it. And I want to see Makueni this year and the other years to come a better place to live in.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, my name is Daniel Mutunga. Here I am representing Makueni Civil Society. And now, today, I think we'll have, that is my expectation, we'll have a vision for Makueni we want. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. Yes, my name is Rhoda Mdumi Mainde. I represent Maendeleo Wanawake Makueni, being the secretary. And I come from Kadhonzweni, but Makueni sub-count. And I'm expecting to see a better Makueni through transparency in this LDS.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, my name Festus Muindimahi. I'm the chair of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Makueni chapter. I'm commonly known as Konani sometimes because of my job description. That is, I'm a businessman. My expectation is to see Makueni integrating through this local development organization on the role of oversight to see to it that the money being given by donor and also to the county governments reflects the work on the ground, and also on the business community to see to it that the national and the county policies being developed matching the needs of the trade and the free trade of the business community. So I'm thinking of, after the end of the exercise, that we will integrate on our oversight role so that we may see further development and also improve the lives of Makueni people. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Ambua. I represent Makueni PW Network. I come from Makueni sub-county. My expectation is to see an LDO that has a passion of the PWDs and also involving them in all the activities they undertake. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Moffat Peter from Savo Trust. The trust is located in Kibwezi East Sub-County, Mtito and A Ward, and we work closely with a community-based organization, mainly comprised of community members neighboring Savo East and Savo West National Park. So my main wish is that something magnificent will come out of this process for Makueni County people. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Isaac Mugo from Kibwezi East. I represent the youth in the County Development Committee, and I'm a convener of the same committee. Through the progress of the LDO this year, my hope is to see every person in Makueni County understands his role in leading and managing change and development in the county. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brilliant Birir. I work for Amref Health Africa as a project officer, and I represent Makueni. My hope and wish is to see the LDO progress further and help in the development of the people of Makueni. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ruth Mwins from Kaiti. Here I represent the business community, na matarajio yangu ni kuona Makueni to be the place to be through this LDO. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Josephine Musenya. I come from Kilome Sub-County. I am a convener in the Development Committee. My expectation is to see the LDO coming to solidification, or in other words, being able to stand on its own, coming to reality and being able to function as we have visioned in Makueni. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christine Moteti. I'm from Kisau. I represent Kisau Development CBO, which is in Boni Sub-County. And my expectation is to see the people of Makueni, more so the marginalized, being empowered through the LDO. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Martha Moidore, a coach and a mentor with the Yetu initiative of the Aga Khan Foundation, and more specifically a coach for Makueni. Kwa hivyo niko nyumbani kabisa. And I'm delighted this morning that we are here to mark yet another milestone in the co-creation process, heading to the steps of registration. My expectation of the outcome from this year is to see the LDO up and running and actually transforming the way development happens in this county for the betterment of the people of Makueni. You're most welcome for this workshop today and tomorrow. Asante.
Thank you, Martha, and thank you all. I've also not introduced myself. I'm Fred Omwanda from Yetu, AKF. Expectation is also, I think, I have a bias in this because my expectation is just also to see this LDO come to life. I know this team has worked very hard across last year, so we'd like to see it, we see the fruits of that work. So as has been the custom in our previous meetings, we do have participants online. So we'll just allow for our program director to say a word. Irene,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yes, it's such an honor to be here at this time. My name's Irene Gathenji. It's good to see you. I have met most of you in person, but it's also good to see some people that I have not met previously. I have been seeing their names, and so it's very much a good meeting to bring together the key stakeholders of Makueni. I don't know whether I need to give my remarks right now or we wait a little bit. However, I think in the same format of introduction, one of the key expectations for me this year is, of course, like all of you, to have the LDO in place and up and running. And for this workshop specifically, the best way to register this LDO, and most important is to have a structure that helps us with accountability. I think also we are missing our government counterparts. I hope they are going to be able to join us. And also the two key facilitators still have not arrived, and I hope they can be able to join us. So Fred, please guide me. Do I have to speak now or wait until another round of comments and remarks?
Sorry, we didn't. We were to invite Francis to speak after you. He's actually with us.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. All right. Then maybe then I can speak right now. I think for Yetu, it's acknowledge that some of you, this is the first time that you're having a detailed focus in this process after your stakeholder meetings that we had last year. There are two things I would want to highlight in terms of this process is that since we started in May 2020, both the governor, His Excellency Professor Kifitha Kibwana, and the mission director, who USAID have really urged us to look and ask the question is, who else is not in this process? And based on that question of who else is not in this process, and the need to leave no one behind, we implemented an activity that we called social mobilization. And that's how we reached out to you last year, and we had a conversation with you. And of course, we also went to the grassroots and conducted social mobilization at ward level and sub-county level. When we spoke to people, there was a lot of views and recommendations that we bring to this workshop, that we needed you to be part and parcel of the discussion and the deliberation. And that's how you're coming to this process. And I do hope that during the discussions that start, we're going to have a presentation on where we've come from to where we are right now. So that's how you're in this process. And we do hope that because you're here, you've really embraced the process that we've already started with you. And we also do hope that you are willing and happy to contribute to this process. And most important thing, for the benefit of the people of Makueni. The second point is that in terms of the road ahead, we've been given a kind of matching orders from both the mission director and again, His Excellency, the governor, that we really need to forward this process and make it happen quicker than we've done in the past. So we have a short timeline in terms of making this happen, and I do hope that in this meeting, we are going to focus in making decisions and not being afraid to make those decisions, because those decisions are going to help us move forward. I believe that we've had a lot of discussions in the past, and we've engaged in conversations to make us get to a point where we can comfortably make those decisions. So this meeting, while it is a meeting to gain consensus on quite a number of issues, I do hope that most of the consensus will be made on those issues, and we're going to have decisions made to help us move forward. And also in terms of moving forward, we are going to be guided by the legal team that is going to be working with us, but it's to understand that the spirit and the voice of the community must find expression in our deliberation, and also must find expression in the formation and the final entity that is called the LDO. So I thank you, and I thank the county government colleagues who are there. Francis, I actually didn't see him in the camera. I also thank Lucy Kithome, who is online, who is from the USA. They're going to be able to speak. And I welcome you in this workshop, and hope that you're going to have deliberations that will help us move forward with the registration of this LDO. Karibuni, and thank you for participating.
Thank you, Irene. I think if Lucy is also online, we can invite her to say a few words before inviting Francis. Lucy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to join you during this meeting, and also to appreciate the far we have come. You know that we came from far, and we have gone through lots of discussions, and also to thank you for those who participated in the social mobilization, because through this we learned a lot, and we got the voice of the people at the grassroots, and which is very important, and which is part of USAID vision for the LDO. Just to remind you, the vision of USAID for the LDO is the formation of an umbrella organization that brings together CBOs, faith-based organizations, and all these other non-government structures that are working on in the county, and the aim is to support initiatives that actually improve the lives of the communities. And USAID reached a point where we realized that the way we have been doing business is kind of not having the results that we expect. And because of that, we designed this process from the time we put up the APS, and pre-selected a few organizations that have been working with us in this process. And these pre-selected organizations were to help us mobilize other organizations in the county to participate in this process, in the co-creation. And the reason we wanted to do a co-creation is because we wanted this umbrella organization to have views from the ground, to have, views from everyone who is operating in the ground. And this is why we worked with Yetu to do the social mobilization. And as you all know, from this social mobilization, we have got ideas that actually can guide us as we continue in the process of this co-creation. And as Irene have said, we have been given very short time, so we may just do our best to fast track the process so that we put up an LDO. Once the LDO is up and running, then we can look around. You know, looking around means the LDO will be in a position to seek collaboration or activities, to look for funding from either USAID, other donors, and even from the county government and also the national government. And the aim is to improve the lives of the common man, so that we move from one point to another on the journey to self-reliance. As you know, some of you may know that the USAID strategy or US government strategy has changed, and we are working towards no need for foreign aid. So how do we reach that point where communities do not need foreign aid? You are going to be part of that process. Once we form this LDO, your motivation to work with it, work in it, or participate in its activities should be guided by how do we make sure that our communities move from the point where they need foreign aid to a point where they are self-reliant. So you can see that the aim of the LDO is actually community service. It's not for selfish interest, like you know, myself getting big money, you know, to be rich, to have an apartment, that kind of thing. No, no, no. The LDO is about moving communities, the vulnerable women, people with living with disabilities, the poor person in your village. You know, that person who does not have nyumba zile azikaangwi chakula. We want to move them from there so that they can have a balanced diet. So in other words, this is a process. This is an umbrella organization should be able to change people's lives. So even as we continue to partner in this, we should be thinking about what is my neighbor who has no water, who has no food, who does not get 3 meals a day, and who cannot, who has no chicken in their home. How do we help them so that we all moving together? You know, so just to cut short my long speech, just to tell you that my hope for this year is that our LDO will be an ideal LDO. You know, Makueni is not just a county, it is the county. And everyone in this country knows that Makueni is special. So we need our LDO to be that special, so that people come, others who are forming LDOs, come to Makueni to see how the Makueni LDO is able to alleviate poverty, is able to change people's, to transform people's way of life. So this is my hope for the Makueni LDO. Thank you very much and have a nice day. I wish you all the best for these conversations today and tomorrow. I may not be there full time, but whenever I get a chance like now, I'll just come and join you and participate in the discussions that you are going to have. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Lucy, for those encouraging words. And now, I think, as we've been mentioning throughout this process, is that we've been playing, or rather, we've received quite a number of support from the county government, and we've been working in this journey together. So we'd like to invite Francis to just, as the host, welcome and say a few words.
Hamjambo wote. Hamjambo tena. Wa Nairobi hawajambo.
Hatujambo.
It's nice to join the team. Let me say Happy New Year to all of you. Yesterday, I couldn't join you, but my colleague Zipporah was with you, I was told. And today I said I want to join the first sessions so that I can pick up. And here I am. I want to express gratitude, first of all, to Irene and Lucy for their encouraging remarks. I also want to express my gratitude to all of you for finding time to be with us in this process of co-creating the LDO. Before I say much, let me convey greetings from His Excellency the Governor, who, in his wisdom and that of the mission director of USAID, accepted to join hands so that the people of Makueni can benefit from this great initiative. He is not able to join you now, but in course of today and tomorrow, if he gets time, don't be surprised he might pass by. So accept his greetings. Personally, I'm happy that I don't see anyone dropping out of this process. If you remember, this process began way back in 2019. 2019. Most of you and many of you were called or mobilized to attend the initial sensitization at this facility and this hall. And I can say I see some of you since that time. And that you are here means that you are representing many more out in the field. Your selection, therefore, to be part of this team is a confirmation that the other organizations have faith in you, that you are going to discuss, having them in mind, having listened to the views of all you interacted with during the social mobilization process, wherever you went. And even if you didn't reach out to all, you have interacted with them in the past and know their expectations of such kind of an organization. Lucy reminds us of the vision for the formation of the LDO, and I don't want to repeat that. Kindly keep that in mind and try to seek ways of ensuring that those views you had from the field and the expectations merge somewhere, and that the vehicle you are going to form, the structures for it that you are going to discuss, will surely lead to the actualization of the vision. Put differently, when I heard of the LDO from the very beginning, I said, well, isn't this not the opportunity that the people of Makueni have wanted? Isn't this not going to be the boiling pot? And when you went out, you certainly heard that there were initial or earlier initiatives to form a similar organization. The experiences, the lessons are in this room. Why it failed, you know it. So bring the lessons into this process of forming this LDO. Let those bygones be it, and have faith that this time round you are going to succeed. I'm reminded what Bishop and his team said to us when we met here last year in one of the co-creation workshops, that the church should not be invited to come and pray. The church should be invited to come and share, because they too have an input. And the church is represented here. The business community, the civil society organizations are all here. Please join hands. I'm sure now you understand you should be thinking county-wise now. County-wise, not where, Anthony, you come from, not the Mapaka, not the Makueni Civil Society Network, not the People's Government, not Mdima. You are thinking county-wide. Mai, not, yes, the chambers, but county-wide. So this is the challenge that we all have. The government is working hand in hand with you. Many of the people, or the voices we heard, fear the infiltration of the government into this. We want to assure you and them that the government's wish is to see the LDO form and run. The government will never be there because it is the people who elected it. But in the affairs and management of the LDO, please decide how you want it done. We should be able to create an enabling environment for the LDO to run, and that is our duty as a government. How you are going to work, please feel free. And of course, the government has ideas. We can give also our ideas. Whether you take them, you throw them away, we are not forcing those ideas onto you. But we are part and parcel of the process of co-creating it. My expectations, as asked. One, it is not going to be easy. In these 2 days, you are going to wade into waters, into mud. Let me not assure you that it is going to be a walkover. You are going to get into mud, discussing those ideas and harmonizing them. It's not easy. But I also expect that you are going to bring the best wine into the process, the best experiences, the lessons, so that you wade in this mud and come out strong. Come out strong. And that is a process of empowerment. You have listened to the people. You have your your experiences. Lessons, bring them on board so that you can wade through this mud. Because we have a time factor. We are given a time to deliver. I hope you know the time. You are reminded of the time yesterday. For Makueni, we cannot go beyond May before we have a running LDO. An LDO with the structures, an LDO with the government, with the supporting documents, plans for implementation. It can't go beyond May because it started in 2019. Andotio manoa, watu uchoka. Hata wao wafadhili uchoka. Lakini walituambia mwanzoni tuwe patient, kwa sababu walitarajia mambo haya yatachukua muda. Na ni kweli tumeona yatachukua muda. Tungekuwa na haraka, tungejifungia tu ukumbini mahali, tukaandika LDO. Kwani hatuwezi? Tunaweza? Lakini tukasema hapana. Kwa sababu LDO hii ni ya mwananchi, let's also be truthful to the process. How was it formed? How many did we reach out? So we have time factor. By May, we must deliver. By May, all things must be concluded. So we don't have the leisure of time. We must deliver. And it is the interest of the government to do so. My names are Francis Mpuku. I work in the office of the governor as the director liaison, coordinating development partners. And together with the Department of Devolution, Directorate of Public Participation, which deals with non-state actors in Makueni, we are together to ensure that you have the necessary support from the government, ideas. I'm surprised somehow I don't see documents piled here for people to make references or squeezing it online. Fred, people need to refer. People need to refer. How is it elsewhere? So if you need any support, I'm sure Anthony is here, the office is around. I'm sure Daniel, the office is around for documents. If you want to refer. Kwani nani ataandika? Si ni nyinyi? Hebu tuulizane. Si ni nyinyi ndio mtaandika? Ama ni hawa ndio wataandika? Is it you ama ni wao? You do it together? Yes. So if you want equipment, say it. If you want reference documents, say it. So that at least by the end of tomorrow you can say, tumeandika. I have a laptop. I'm sure Zipporah has laptops. If you want them, Martha, ask. They'll be here. So that the people here can write. I'm sure these people can type. My challenge. Thank you very much and have a good time.
Thank you, Francis. And thank you to all the speakers, opening remarks. Maybe you can just give an acceptance applause. We've been challenged, so let's accept that challenge. If you can share with me the agenda. So I'll just take about 5 minutes or less just to take us through what we plan to do over the course of today and tomorrow. I think it has already been captured in Irene, Lucy, and Francis's remarks, and we've been challenged. We've been told the journey that we've come from 2019. Those of us who were together last year, especially towards the end of last year, the social mobilization exercise. We had a meeting yesterday, the pause and reflect, and now we are here to try and polish all this work that has been done into a document that can then be moved forward and be registered by May. Just for us to absorb what we're going to be doing in the course of these 2 days, we have, okay, let's scroll down. So we'll conduct an overview of the LDO formation process. This will not take long. Basically, this is just to jumpstart our memory or to refresh our memory in regards to what exactly we are doing here. What exactly we are doing as this team is tasked with doing, where we've come from, and why it is important. Yes, karibu Akin. So it will be a very brief overview. I know many of us have interacted with the roadmap, the LDO roadmap. So it's just good to go back and see what exactly that process is, and then look at what has been done so far. Makueni has made a lot of progress, so look at that progress and see the steps that have been taken so far, and then look at our objectives for the day. We'll set some very specific objectives for the day. After that, we'll be looking at the context again, and I'm glad to see Wakili is here. We'll be looking at the context just to, again, sometimes I think when working, focusing very much on one thing, you forget the bigger picture, and I think Francis has captured it very well. We want to look at the county-wide or county-wise thinking. So how is this LDO beneficial to Makueni? Beyond just the sub-counties, beyond the organizations, how is it beneficial? What is the big idea here? So we're going to be taken through the context and look again at the LDO why. Why exactly are we forming this LDO? What's its purpose and the vision? We'll also do another session to just look through the co-creation process. What exactly is co-creation? Some of these words, we throw them around, but what exactly do they mean? What are the core of co-creation? Why are we here together? Why did we insist on having representation from the private sector, civil society, county government, and again, representatives of the community as a whole? Also in that session, we'll also look through how these various stakeholders engaged, what exercises were done to make sure that all these stakeholders had an opportunity to participate in this process, and what feedback have they given us thus far. We'll also look at exactly this steering committee, what do you expect from you, and what do you want, how will you guide this process moving forward. Then we'll have a session on governance, organizational governance. As we mentioned here, we're trying to establish an umbrella organization with a lot of interests, a lot of stakeholders. So it's very important for us to grasp what good governance is. I think good governance was thrown out the window. There are now new terms. We don't refer to it as good governance, but just what exactly is organizational governance? What are the key principles of that to ensure that the organization that is set up is run in a proper manner? In that session, we'll also look at the trust, look at exactly what a trust looks like on paper, so that all of us can start thinking through how this organization will come to life. And we'll also have a very interesting discussion of how will we bring trustees, how will we identify trustees and select them to be part of the board of trustees for this trust. And again, we'll have our Martin to guide us to just think through that session. It's a very, it'll require a very open mind, because it's a very essential session for the LDO moving forward. Tomorrow, we'll be focusing now on the hard work, the actual document. So we've discussed all these things in theory, but now we want to put all this to paper and have a draft deed, which can then be processed and registered and have this LDO formally registered as a legal entity. So we've allocated quite some time tomorrow to look through that document. Hopefully, if possible, we'll be able to share with you the draft this evening, so that as you go home, you can also just have time to look at that document, so that tomorrow, as you come, you can better contribute to that session. We'll also have a session for feedback, and then we'll then discuss the next steps. The next steps are also quite crucial. As has been mentioned again and again, we have a bit of a hard deadline. We're trying to do this thing by May, but I can tell you that if this process goes well, May is actually very far off. We can actually do this thing probably by April or March if we're able to move quite fast. So the process of the actual, today we'll discuss how we want to identify and select them. Once that is discussed tomorrow, the next steps now after tomorrow will be actualizing those plans, looking for this board of trustees through whichever process or mechanism we decide here, and inviting them to be part of the board of trustees. They'll then have to be inducted. Induction basically means they will have to come taken through a process which they then accept. Like yesterday here, in a way we were all inducted. A number of you saw your names here on the slide for the first time, when you're just told that you're a member of an interim committee. But we also requested that you accept that. Is that the case? So the same will go for the trustees. They'll be invited, and they'll have to accept that process and sign off as the board of trustees. Following that, that document will then have to be registered, submitted to the Ministry of Lands, and there's a whole process again that will be explained as to how exactly that registration will be done. So in summary, that's what we're doing over today and tomorrow. It does not look like a packed schedule, but some of these sessions may take longer than allocated here, because they require healthy debate and healthy open minds to really think through them. So with that, I think we are good. I hope we've digested that and will be ready to accept that challenge that has been given to you. We'll be taking a break, but before that, I think I'd like to invite Wakili just to introduce himself, and then we can break for tea.
Mjambo. Mimi naitwa Olo Martin. Sijui kama kuna wengine mnataka kujua. Nitakuwa na nyinyi hapa leo na kesho. Na tuongee ile iko. Wewe na makule wangi? Isitwa yako ni mwakwata nesa? Hii naitwa Olo. Mkamba ambaye kuitwa Olo. Ni munzauni. Mwakwata nesa? Hai. Asante.
Yes, over the course of the 2 days, you'll find that Mr. Martin Olo is a very interesting person. So expect more than that. There's more to come. So we'll take a quick break, maybe 20 minutes to have tea, refresh our minds, recalibrate, and plan for the course of the day. So welcome to tea. For those online, we're taking a 20-minute break. We'll be back at 10:45. So think through the agenda as was presented and think through how we'll contribute to this process. So I don't know if Irene, if you can hear us. Irene, Lucy, are you still online? Okay, I think when they're back, we'll also just give them a chance to speak into the session as we go along. So for this next session is more of just a recap. As has been said again and again, this process has taken quite some time. So maybe some of us have even forgotten where we started. We've been participating in this for months, so it's good to just recap and remind ourselves where we've come from. Also to motivate you. I know it may seem like a long journey, but you've covered quite a bit, so it's good just to remember that. So I'll take a few minutes to take us through the roadmap. This is an image I know many of you have seen over and over again, both in the virtual meetings as well as all the physical meetings we've had. It's something we like to really share because it reminds us of the journey, keeping in mind that as much as right now we are focusing very much on registration, it is only part of the journey. There's a lot more to come beyond the registration, and we'll also just speak to that in a very quick manner. So this whole journey began, as much as it began in 2019 with the sensitization and the sensitization as well as applications done by the APS, what we were calling the APS organizations. The true engagement began last year with the co-creation process, where we began with the introductory meetings. We had a number of introductory meetings with the county government, as well as with the APS organizations. The APS organizations basically represented consortia who had put in an application to USAID in response to the call that was done in 2019. However, in that process, it was then identified that there was need to continuously or open up this process to other organizations to participate. And that is why, like I mentioned yesterday, and I'll just remind us, we began with a number of 8 APS organizations, but through the process of consultation, integration, we remained with the 4 APS organizations, but gained what is known as the County Development Committee, representation from the County Development Committee. The reason for this is because Makueni is a unique county. We've said that a number of times, in that there was a lot of investment that was put in public participation structures. So there was a need to integrate the LDO vision with the ongoing work that the county was already doing. So we already had these resource people, and we thought it would make a lot of sense to integrate these 2 stakeholders. So those 2 stakeholders have been working together, that is the CDC and the APS, have been working together, steering this process for a number of activities. The initial ones being a series of virtual meetings. Last year we were not able to meet physically, we only met I think twice. So for the majority of the meetings that we were holding, they were virtual. And in those meetings, a lot of discussions were held around conceptualizing what this LDO is and how it will look in Makueni. So all that led to a number of, for Makueni, it was a very consultative process. So you'll find for a very long period, we were having more of these consultative meetings. So we had a meeting here in August, but we continuously met virtually to discuss other elements of this formation. Through that process, it was agreed that the initial thing we need to do, if we truly want to be inclusive, if we truly want this LDO to be a representation of civil society or the community in Makueni, we have to continuously engage other stakeholders. We have to purposefully go out there and inform stakeholders that this is happening and give them an opportunity to join. And that is why the social mobilization was prioritized. So social mobilization, I think we all participated in one way or another. It's basically to create awareness of the LDO, as well as beyond just informing them, getting feedback from the community in terms of what this LDO will be. So that is what was prioritized for Makueni. And with the support of the county government, we were able to map out, I believe it was over 3,000, was it 4,000 organizations? Over 4,000 civil society organizations. And civil society, we'll get to a session with that, but basically we're talking about a number of organizations all the way from the village level to the county level. So we then developed a social mobilization strategy, basically meaning a plan towards engaging as many of these organizations as possible. Social mobilization is a continuous process. So in the initial process, we were able to conduct a number of forums that reached out to, I think, 1,700 of these organizations. And the detail of that, I believe my colleague will get into in the next sessions. But just to emphasize, social mobilization was prioritized, and that is the activity that we did. Following that, we then had what you're calling the pause and reflect, which was yesterday, basically to come together and look at what exactly this social mobilization exercise achieved, what came out of that. And again, I don't want to go too much into that because I know my colleague will touch on that. So beyond that, now the next step was the co-creation. So in this map, you'll see this is a bit, the process in Makueni is a bit different from this map. It's because this map was developed as we were embarking in Nakuru, but Makueni, again, is a unique context, and we used a very slightly different approach. But there are key elements of this that I want us to just highlight. One being the need to have the introductory meetings to ensure that the county is aware of what we are doing, to ensure that the civil society is aware of what we are doing, and beyond just those introductory meetings, the social mobilization, engaging the community, engaging civil society, informing them of this process, and again, having them participate. Beyond that is now the core of this work, now the core and the co-creation, what we want to do here today and tomorrow. Really thinking through what this LDO will be. Looking at the discussions that have been had so far, we've said it's going to be registered as a trust. What does that mean for us? What are the legal frameworks that guide the trust? How exactly can we ensure this trust that we are creating is truly inclusive, is truly a trust that can encompass or embrace civil society as a whole? So that's what we're going to do here. So once we've had that discussion, we've finalized on that, we've agreed on what this trust will look like. We then leave it to the Wakili to forward the registration. As I mentioned, it does not end there. There's a whole other element of the funding and planning. So beyond the registration, there's still work to be done. We still need to know to support this LDO come to its feet. We cannot just leave it as a registered organization and let it run on its own. It's likely to stop there, basically. So we want to ensure that beyond the registration, the LDO is supported to stand on its feet, to seek support from other development partners, with the primary development partner being USAID. But as was mentioned earlier, it's open to other development partners as well. It's also open to partnerships with the county government. So in that process, there'll be a number of steps. One we're calling the pre-fund support, which is basically conducting an assessment of the organization's policies and procedures. As a new organization, it's like we definitely don't expect it to have this in place. So you'll be supported to develop policies and procedures that will guide how the organization will be run. Also supported to put together an application to USAID for support. Now, a key thing is that USAID, it may support. So it's not a guarantee that USAID will support. So, and that is why we need to really be together and support the process of developing that application, because the application has to meet certain criteria for it to be supported by USAID. Also, we need to conduct a baseline. So beyond just the policies, there needs to be a baseline in terms of the capacity of the organization. Again, it being a new organization, we do expect that you may not have the capacity at that point to conduct a number of or implement your objectives. So we'll also support in terms of strengthening that capacity. Strengthening is in terms of beyond just the policies, development of the strategic planning, as well as staffing, which is very important. Also, beyond that, your colleague or our friend Martha will be working with this organization in terms of coaching, in terms of building those networks and ensuring that certain doors may be opened for this organization, especially in terms of partnerships with other development partners, partnerships with the county government, partnerships with the civil society as a whole. So there's need for that support and just walking that journey with this organization. And again, the last element is the monitoring and implementation, or other implementation and monitoring. Basically, what this is that once you've registered, that's step one. Step two is putting together the policies, procedures, ensuring there's a strategic plan. There's a lot of planning and staffing and just ensuring that there's meat on this skeleton that we have. Now, once that is there, we then need to implement. Again, we don't want an organization that's just sitting idle. There's some beyond the strategic plan. You'll be helped to develop implementation or institutional strengthening plans